for the troublemaker, girl.
Welcome to Smart Life. I'm Dr. Gina. It is a new era in U.S. foreign policy. It's starting to sink in. People are starting to realize that the president might have done the unthinkable. He's not only negotiated with terrorists, he has released 5 of the most dangerous men we have ever captured in the war on terror, and he swapped them for a traitor. American troops and civilians around the world are now more in danger. Now that we've opened this door, we are going to have to deal with what comes out of it. And Pamela Geller of AtlasShrugs.com is outraged. Pamela, welcome back to Smart Life.
Hey, Gina. Dr. Gina, how are you? I think any rational and patriotic American is outraged. What's interesting and what I find so very hopeful is that last weekend, when I first wrote, I wrote about it on May that they had released the 5 most dangerous members of the Taliban. This was being heralded even in the media as, you know, a hero comes home. This is so wonderful. This was, I think, a very cynical attempt to get the news off of the VA scandal. And, of course, it did, but it clearly backfired. I mean, it is outrageous that this known deserter, soldiers who served with him were told to keep quiet. He had left a note. We know what he said in the emails about, you know, being ashamed to be American and hating the Americans and arrogant and so on and so forth. You have Obama hugging the father after the father says the Bismillah, even though the media tried to, again, dissemble and obfuscate that by saying that the father was speaking the language of the Pashtun, the language of the Taliban. Everybody recognized Bismillah. Everybody knew that it's Arabic.
Right.
I mean, imagine FDR releasing Göring, Himmler, Ribbentrop, Goebbels for an American soldier who went to the Nazi side. I want you to consider that, Dr. Gina, because that is the analogy.
Yeah, and now the father has called for the freedom of all of those in Gitmo, including, of course, the orchestrator of 9/11. Do you see that happening now? Is that really what this has come to? And was that maybe what this was all about, in addition to covering up, of course, or changing the subject, I guess, from the Veterans Administration?
It's absolutely what it's all about. Once you've released the 5 worst, he released the 5 worst Gitmo terrorists.
Hand selected.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
So once you release the 5 worst, what argument, Dr. Gina, can we make for keeping the rest?
Yeah. Yeah, there really is.
And that was the objective. That was the point. We have Americans being held all over the world. We have Levinson in Iran. How come he's not going after those true prisoners, captive prisoners of war? I mean, this is so outrageous on its face. This is the act of a man who is completely without conscience or fear that he is held to any accountability. He obviously counts on the media lapdogs that can't stop polishing his knob, no matter how treasonous, no matter how traitorous he is. Mm-hmm. It is an unbelievable deal. It's traitor for 5 traitors. And honestly, I don't think he was expecting this reaction. I think this blew up, no pun intended, in his face. Now we're learning, Dr. Gina, that after he deserted and joined the Taliban, that he was colluding with these enemies, and they were placing bombs and IEDs in exactly the spots where the deserter Abdullah, that was his name, by the way, when he converted, Abdullah Bergdahl, where he had told them that our soldiers were. So not only did we lose soldiers in trying to get him back, we also lost soldiers due to his collusion with the Taliban.
And that's not even to say what'll come of the terrorists that are released, to the atrocities that could be exacted on the world. Pamela Geller, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you and your continued fight